Hi friends, this is Laura with Potpourri of Life. I have decided to do a 3-part series on how to make it through this upcoming storm of chaos. Okay, the storm's already here. The chaos has been around for a couple of years now. But what a lot of people are finding is that things are getting expensive faster than they anticipated or even expected. So if you haven't been watching the news or you've been in hiatus, just kind of enjoying life and so forth, you might not have noticed. But I think the majority of people have, because to go to the grocery store is more costly than it ever has. Even if you do not shop a lot, even if you don't buy much when you go. So one of my things is going to the grocery store. It used to be about 50 bucks to fill that little part in the top, and we didn't always go every week. But even still, my husband always did stop off every now and then to, get a gallon or two of milk each week. So we're going to say average $50. But now it's between $80 and $125 for that same amount of food. That's a big increase over the past year. So I'm going to do 3 parts, like an economic series or financial series, and things that we can do to help us endure what's coming at us. So the first thing is, take a breath. Stop everything around you and just take a breath and say, we're going to be okay. It only takes a second to say that. Take that deep breath. It's a big cleansing breath. And let it go. Okay, we can't change what has happened, but we can change how we respond. So in doing that, the first thing that I want to talk about is a budget. And I know many people do not work with a budget. You have to start thinking about it now. You have to start looking at what money is coming in and what money is going out. And so we have priorities. So take a moment, take a piece of paper on one side, how much is coming in. On the other side, put down what's going out. Now, I would use your net income, because some people might have a 401k plan, you might have your insurance coming out, all those things. They do not go into the budget that I'm talking about, but it is part of your budget, so let's not forget that. So you have your gross and any extra monies that you make on a routine basis. If you make $100 every month on Etsy, include that so you can account for it. But if you don't want to and you want to keep that as your rainy day fund, then put it into another column so that that can be your savings account of funds that you might need for that rainy day. So you take your basic check or checks, how many people are in your family and working a job. You have that. That is your working start. Okay, the tax is already taken out, your pre-taxed items are already taken out, so you have this net balance that you're going to be working with. On the other side, include your mortgage or rent, your car payment, if you have one. Include in there if your food, your utilities, electric, water, whatever your utilities are, include those. Now, we get our gas for our stove. We have propane stove. We get that filled once a year. So it did go up, but what I do for my budget, I take what I got charged this past spring, and I divide it by 12, and then right now I've been adding 10%. So that will be in my budget for propane gas. And that amounts to about $15 a month. Doesn't sound bad, does it? Actually, it's quite a bit more than when we first moved in and the price has gone up. So, and because that's the only product we buy from this particular fuel vendor, we have an increased price as well. But I also pay within their 10-day period because I can. It's in my budget. So then the other thing is your fuel. How much do you use every year? Take that and kind of divide it among, what you got. What else? Your gas to work. How much are you spending every week? Put that in there. And what other things? Your food. Make sure that is inclusive. Now, when you go to the grocery store, you might be buying food paper goods, cleaning products. You're welcome to kind of like split it out so that you get an idea of how much you're spending for these items. So that's what your first job to do is to create a budget. This isn't for anything other than for yourself, to give you a picture, a view of what you are spending and how you are spending it. It will also help you to stay accountable in terms of not overspending. And if over a few months, if you haven't done it already, you will be able to go to the store with cash in hand instead of having to use a credit card. The goal here is for those of you on a credit card using that for your expenses is for you to eliminate them. Now, if you have a rewards credit card, those are fine, but you still have to keep this budget because you want to be in the habit of paying that credit card in full before its due date. Yes, get in the habit of paying that in full, because first, if it is a rewards card, what's the sense of getting rewards if you're going to get charged interest? So get in the habit of paying it off. It will also build your credit if you have a bad credit score. So get in the habit of doing that. And if you have to spend more on your credit card to live, look at what you can do to cut back. Do you need the fancy coffee? Can you get by with a less costly? And another thing to include on that budget, if you are a Starbucks person, a Dunkin' Donuts, have that in on a line item, because we want to include what makes up your life financially. And I'm not going to review this. This is all yours. The person that you have to be honest to is with you. So get your receipts, take a look at what you got, and start building on that. Now, as the prices continue to rise, you want to kind of increase it a little bit, okay? Or when you're shopping, make sure that you are accounting for things that you need on a routine basis. Like women might need feminine hygiene. With babies, we have diapers. We have different things that you might need to account for in your expenditures. Now, if you are fortunate enough to get fuel assistance, food stamps, WIC, whatever it is that you're getting help with, you can include that as a separate income area, and you can put off to the side, like have two budgets. One is the money you have. The other part is the budget that the resources you are obtaining because you qualify, and that what are you spending out of that account. Now, one thing that you can try doing is staying within those limits that they give you. And so, everybody's getting different amounts of food stamps. I do know people in my age group who are disabled. They might be getting $8 a month or a few dollars here and there. That's not even anything to even think about. That might buy them a gallon of milk and a dozen eggs. But that's not very much for a month. That's what I've heard from some people, and it's like, whoa, then why even bother collecting it? Because that's kind of cruel to mistreat people, and that's what they're doing. It's awful. But anyways, if you get these items, honestly, if you get them, if you honestly cannot work, then you need to have two types of budgets there, because you're going to have some income, hopefully, and have that in that other category. So the stuff that you're getting, fuel assistance, you have over to the other side how much you're going to get, okay? So those two, that row is going to equal. But up on top, what is your fuel cost, which will be the net of what they give you and what your actual cost is. So you want to put that up there. Say you get $500, I'm going to try to keep this simple. Say you get $500 fuel assistance, but your annual heating bill for oil, and I say oil because I have oil, say it's $1,000 gross. Mine is about $1,200 a year, but we have good insulation. We've done that, and we got a very small home. It's under 1,000 square feet. So our heating bill is not horrible, but $1,000 is expensive. So if you get $500, that's on that bottom budget, okay? That bottom budget, both sides, should come down to 0 at the end. So you take that other $500 that you need to pay, put it up in the top part of that budget. So you have all your items, your income, items that are not covered by assistant programs, because that's going to be a different one, and you want that bottom program to help you. So at the top, you want to include the number one thing you want to make sure that gets paid is your rent or your mortgage. It is very important. One thing that you can do to help you make sure you pay that on time, it's what we've done. We opened a separate checking account that the bank takes the money out every single month, so we're never late. You can do this, and if you pay your landlord every month with a check, put it into that account, and that way you can write a check, or you can do an automatic pay where you yourself have control over having the bank send it automatically to them on time. You will appreciate having that done. Plus, if it's in a different account, you don't have to worry about ever being late for your rent or your mortgage. It's a lifesaver. We did this years ago, and I don't even think about the rent, the mortgage anymore. It's just something that we have taken care of. Okay, so I do have some different things to share with you. All right, in your spending account, make sure you are honest. If you haven't saved your receipt, start saving your receipts to kind of see how you're spending. How much do you spend on coffee? How much? You can have another list if you want to get OCD like I can be. But kind of take a look at what are you always buying and make a list of all that. Write down those prices so that you are aware. The more aware you are of how you're spending your money and what you're spending it on will make you more aware of what your needs truly are. If you need a cup of coffee, but you have 5 throughout the day, can you cut back so you can save on coffee? I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying, can you cut back? And let's see. Okay, so you've got that. Sorry, I have some notes in front of me that I'm trying to focus on here. So you have an idea now of what you're spending your loose change on. You've got your one account taking care of your mortgage. If you have a car payment, include that in that account so that it's automatic. Your car payment is always paid. Another thing is when you take loans out for cars, houses, whatever, make sure it is a fixed rate. I cannot share this and be more passionate about sharing this, because when you do the flexible rate, as you can see from this recent housing surge that we had, people did do the flexible mortgages and they're drowning because as the interest rates went up, they're paying more. They offered us that when we came into this house, and they were insistent, but you're going to save so much money because the fixed rate was a little bit higher. I said, no, we are not going to go flexible. But it's going down, you'll be fine. I said, can you guarantee it'll never go higher? No, that's kind of like, it probably won't. I said, if you can't guarantee it, then I'm going to go with what I know to be guaranteed. So I am grateful because back when we bought our house, the rates went nuts within 6 months, and it went crazy. So always go for a fixed rate and don't do those flexible rates. That's just their way of getting you in there, and then it takes time for them to allow you to refinance. So keep that in mind. Some other tidbits, some tips on financial. Check your banks for interest rates right now because interest rates are going up. And some banks are offering accounts to have a little bit higher interest rate. I recommend working with small local banks, community banks. Why? Because they're friendlier and they actually want to work with you as a consumer. And they're kind of like, they're your banking family. So work with them. If you have investments, make sure it's somebody that you can trust. And when you need to be able to withdraw, make sure it's somebody who works with you, warns you why, or talks with you and might be able to share with you some other options you didn't know about. So work with a local bank and work with a responsible and honest financial advisor. And they don't have to be just in investments, but they can be helping you with other areas. So we have a really nice financial advisor who has helped us, and we're really grateful. And he's got a great team of helpers. So it's been good, and so we're very thankful for them. Now, if you don't need funds immediately, and you're in a bank and you have, I'm just going to throw a number out there, $5,000. You have $5,000 and it's like, where can I put this so it doesn't lose its value? CDs right now are going up in interest, but even if they're not, it'll be a benefit to put it in there if you don't need those funds tomorrow. Although you can set up a CD for, I'm going to need it in 30 days. You can do stuff like that. So talk to your bank, talk to your financial advisor, whoever it is that you can trust to give you good advice. Now, I have a CD that I have where I put my retirement money in when I stopped working a number of years ago. It's all I had. And so I keep telling my husband if I go before him, that's his play money. He can do whatever for putting up with me. But in reality, it's for those end costs, and then he has the extra to help him during those times. And that's why I have that CD. We don't need those funds right now. So yeah, I do, but I would rather have the funds available. And it's not a lot of money, folks. It's a small amount. So it would cover those final costs. And when I took it out, and it was like 5 years ago, actually I've been taking it out every time. 6 years ago, I took the best interest rate, which was like 2.5, never heard of. Over the course of the year, the interest rates kept going down and down and down. But I was locked in. And now the interest rates are coming back up. So I'm kind of right there with everybody. And I think by the time it's available for me to either renew, cash out, or whatever, I might have some options with a better interest rate. I'm hoping, because I'm hoping this chaos that's going on out there will be a benefit for you and for many others, including myself. All right, so work with your local bank. You know how you like to just kind of like, I know people throw change all over the ground. I pick it up. Thank you very much. That goes into my penny jar. Keep your change, folks. First of all, I don't like bending over to pick up change, but I do like the fact that when I pick it up, I gained a penny or a quarter, whatever it is I gained. Save your loose change and put it aside. We've done that when our kids were little. My kids would go rollerblading down at the high school, and our middle one was really good for spotting sparkly change. Every year during the summer, she would accumulate enough so that she could buy a pizza for the family. You know, she could put it in the bank. I didn't care what she did, but we all did that. And so David and I, we would save it, and it's like, hey, I got 20 bucks in here. What do you want to do with it? That was play money for us. But you don't have to have it as play money. You can put it in the bank to make interest. I know banks have not been good about giving money back. They have not been good for children's savings accounts. They have been horrible compared to what my husband and I had when we were younger. So it's kind of hard to save, and that's why people tend to, if I can't make money, I might as well spend it, right? You need to get out of that mindset, because there's going to be a day where you're going to need that extra change. So save it. It's important for you, so that you go to the grocery store and you realize milk just doubled. You have that extra to say, oh, I need to borrow that today to get the milk. If you've never been in the place where you don't have money to get a gallon of milk, we've been there. You appreciate that change jar. And so start incorporating that. If you get an extra dollar when you're paying in cash, put that in your change drawer. It'll add up quickly. You can put it into a separate bank account that bears interest. Now, we belong to 2 small local banks. I like one because we get a small interest, but we get interest in one account. or actually in all 3 of the accounts. In the other bank, you have to have like $10,000 in there. We don't have $10,000 in there, so we don't use that bank for spending. That's where our mortgage is, and that's where our monthly expenditures come out of. The other bank is for other needs or other things that are coming in, and I use that bank. I used to have a PayPal account. I don't anymore. I do not like them. I don't like their... I won't go there. I've had money taken out of my account, and it takes you a week, 2, 3, 4 weeks to get that back to prove that it was fraudulent. Although we have a great bank that we're working with now, they catch fraud right away, and we get a phone call. Don't like the call because it takes a couple of days of, depending on if I'm here or not. So it could take a day or 2 before we get this all resolved, and plus the debit card to that account gets frozen, all of that stuff. It's annoying, but I would rather have that than to have somebody having access to my account. So make sure you have a fraud alert with your bank, and they will take care of you. When I mentioned I had that PayPal account, what it is an account that brings money in. I used to use it for PayPal, but when I sell on Etsy, my Etsy money goes in there. It also goes out of there. In addition, I earn money on a platform that I purchase online products through. So I make maybe 2% on a purchase or 4% or whatever. And so I get that, and every month, if a minimum of $10 gets transferred into this account. So when the money gets transferred into this account, I take it and I put it into an account that is spending that I really don't share with anybody. That's where that money goes. And then there's another account like our tax return goes to. So it's a big dollar amount, but every one of these accounts earns interest. Not much, but they earn interest. And that's how we work it. So, and since we do have a credit card that is a rewards card, and that card actually is through that particular bank. So I use that account that is the spending money, and I pay the credit card, and then when I have enough, we put on the rewards, we put that towards that balance. Folks, you got to think, I know this sounds like an overwhelming, a lot of work, but just set it up, and within 2 to 3 months, you'll have it figured out, and you'll say, this works great. I promise you, most especially with your rent, your mortgage, your car payments and stuff, set it up so it's over there. And if you ever have an extra mortgage payment amount, or even just an extra $50, put it towards the principal. Every month that you put a little bit towards it brings that principal down, and so you're not spending as much on interest. So interest will kill you on a mortgage as well as anything else. So, but make sure you pay those reward cards on time so that you don't get the interest on it. So even though you get a great deal, holidays are coming in, folks. Many people use their credit cards to make it through the holidays. If you don't have money in the bank to cover your expenditures, do not use your credit card. If you are, I'm going to call you victim of spending at Christmas, overspending, then you have a credit card debt that you have to pay over the course of time, whether it's 1 month, 5 months, a year, 2 years. You don't want to do that. That's just basically what I'm saying. So build up your savings account so that when the holidays do come, consider, oh, I got $500 in there. I can buy these gifts. But that doesn't mean you have to buy those gifts. Just be aware of what you're spending. Make sure it's quality and the recipient is going to want to have it. So keep those things in mind. When we talk, in my other series that I'm going to be talking about is how to watch for sales. But holidays, you don't have to wait until September. You don't have to wait until the day before. You can shop all year round, and I'll explain that in a little bit. All right, so pay your rewards off. When you sell items, whether it's on Etsy, in your yard sales, or online or whatever, if it's, decide for yourself. how much do you want to have on cash on hand? $20. When you reach that, go throw it into the bank, most especially if it's an interest-bearing account. If you want to have cash on hand, then decide how much you want. You don't want to have all your money in cash. You want to be able to earn money that you're not using. Okay, let me see if there's anything I've missed on this. No. That is what I want to start with. Now I have other things that I'm going to do on the next series. So I hope this was informative. I hope it kind of motivates you to say, I'm going to be in charge of my cash. And it does take, you're going to have to be diligent. You're going to have to be attentive to those dollars, because this is about you surviving the hurricane that could be in front of us. Because you want to also, in that budget that you make, you not only want to know what you're spending and how much you have left over. Say you have $100 left over every month. Woohoo! I can go to eat, I can do this, I can... Stop! Because things are going up in price. You want to cut back on the fun stuff. I'm not saying get rid of everything. I'm saying cut back so that when those bigger expenses occur, whether increased gas to go to work, increased gas to use to heat your home or oil, increase at the grocery store, you are ready for it. So I hope this has been helpful. May God bless you. Enjoy your day.